There's a great preacher, Warren Wiersbe. He's gone to glory now, but in the front of his preaching Bible, he wrote this phrase: be kind to everyone because everyone is fighting a battle. And whether your battle's health, whether it's a relationship, financial, any one of those, anxiety, everybody is fighting a battle. Some severe, some not so severe. Everybody's fighting a battle. Everyone. So the question is, how do I praise God when I'm in the midst of a valley? When I'm in the middle of uncertainty, when I'm in the middle of a challenge, a medical situation. There are people in this church, no doubt, who have doctor's appointments this week. How do I praise God in the midst of that? And the Psalms help us, because David himself suffered greatly at the hands of people who followed the world, the scoffers. His own son rebelled against him, sent David into exile out of. Another son tried to usurp the throne. Obviously Bathsheba, all of that. But yet in the midst of that, he's glorifying God. He's praising God. The challenge of praising God in the midst of a valley and in the midst of the world, right? The scoffers, especially when good things happen to bad people and bad things happen to good people. How do we praise God? Well, in the midst of all of that, we still see the psalmist writing, I'm going to delight in the Lord. Because this bad things happen to good people, good things happen to bad people, it is age old. It is as old as mankind. Right out of the gate or the garden, what happened? Righteous Abel was murdered and murderous Cain lived and multiplied. Right out of the garden, we see the same thing that you are facing or somebody you know is facing. How do I praise God when bad things happen to good people? And how do I praise God when good things happen to bad people? First thing is, it's out of my control. I can tell you that early this morning, the temperature, I would say it's in the 80s, but it was beautiful. But you know that whether somebody is living in overt sin and rebellion, or somebody who is living according to the Lord, everybody got to enjoy a beautiful morning. Tomorrow is a day off for the good and the bad. Whether someone's a scoffer or a follower of Christ, they get their Labor Day Monday off, for the most part. It's beyond my control. But what is in my control is praising God in the midst of the ups and downs of life. So let's continue on then. So he's like a tree planted by streams of water. That is the person that delights in the Lord, who chooses that inheritance, right? The inheritance that comes from being a follower of Christ. Because every one of us, you choose the inheritance, you choose the community. And we're going to see the story of a young man who chose a community that was not righteous. But we'll get to that in a minute. Every single one of us, we have an opportunity to choose the way of the Lord. And so the Psalms, what happens is, even in the midst of the valley of our life, in fact, we sung about it in Psalm 23, right? The Lord is my shepherd, I shall not want. All of us get to choose. But the Psalms are like a balm to our wound. They're like a lifeline to those who are drowning. The Psalms, they're soul care for the depth of your soul. If we would just open them up and understand the psalmists themselves suffered through great ups and downs.